干了10年，车间说停就停。
After working there for a decade, the workshop suddenly shut down without notice. Their monthly salaries dropped from over 5,000 yuan to just over 1,000. They weren't laid off, nor did they resign. They were simply left hanging. This is happening at Wahaha.
The TikToker is referring to the recent wage dispute involving Wahaha employees that has drawn widespread attention. Wahaha, one of China's largest food and beverage companies, is now struggling to stay afloat amid the country's economic downturn, a wave of business closures, and mass layoffs. Even this long-established industry giant is beginning to buckle under the pressure. Wahaha is facing growing scrutiny following reports of factory closures at multiple sites in recent days. The company is accused of using indirect tactics to pressure employees into resigning. In response, large numbers of workers have staged protests, blocking factory gates and demanding compensation after being laid off. A frontline production worker at Wahaha said,
We haven't received any explanation to this day. The management has completely ignored the situation. There has been no official announcement at all.
Amid protests from employees, the company issued a so-called work arrangement plan without company name or official stamp. It claims that operations had been suspended due to shareholder disputes. The plan offered several options: a reduced salary of over just 1,000 yuan per month for a maximum of 2 months, switch to cleaning or sales work with commission-based pay, or transfer to another factory in a different city. Workers accused the company of deliberately pushing them to resign. Whether through halting production or reassigning staff with pay cuts, the end goal appears to be forcing employees out. Those affected say if they don't resign, their wages will be too low to support their families. But if they do resign, they won't receive proper compensation. One worker remarked, "It feels like they're leaving us with no way out." More than 3 months after the layoffs began, Wahaha has yet to provide a reasonable solution. Employees have organized a rights protection group with over 100 members, demanding the reopening of work and production. They say, "We need to eat, we need to live." Media reports indicate this is only the tip of the iceberg regarding Wahaha's factory shutdowns. Over 10 factories have suspended operations, triggering a wave of employee protests. Mainland Chinese media report that excluding factory-level protest groups, the Wahaha Rights Protection Committee has involved more than 1,500 participants. On May 15th, Wahaha responded by stating that it has initiated legal liquidation procedures for the affected factories and claims all employee arrangements comply with laws and regulations. However, no specific compensation measures have been announced so far. Some social media users say Wahaha's problem lies in its failure to take corporate responsibility. As a well-known brand controlled by a state-owned enterprise under the Chinese Communist Party, its polished image masks a crisis borne by sacrificing frontline employees. Another major state-owned enterprise, China State Construction Engineering Corporation, CSCEC, the country's largest construction and real estate company, is also facing widespread salary conflicts. Ranked as the world's largest revenue construction company in 2020, CSCEC's operations span residential construction, infrastructure development, real estate projects, surveying and design, and overseas contracting. From May 8th to 10th, 2025, multiple construction sites in Shenzhen, Guangdong, managed by CSCEC, experienced large-scale strikes involving over 1,000 workers. This exposed the group's worsening financial difficulties in South China. Within 3 days, workers at 6 project sites blocked site entrances and protested for unpaid wages. These include Nanshan District's Baishizhou Tianyue Garden, Taohuayuan School, Lujing Baishizhou, Dongjiang Intelligent Home Industrial Park, China Overseas Shenzhen Bay Super Headquarters Project, and TCL Huaxing Supporting Industrial Park Infrastructure Project. Striking workers reported receiving only 1,500 to 2,000 yuan per person as living allowances since resuming work after the new year, while wages promised for the end of April have been repeatedly delayed and remain unpaid. Construction workers under CSCEC have long been emblematic of China's widespread wage arrears issue, but the nearly simultaneous strikes across multiple Shenzhen projects signal unprecedented cash flow stress for the company. Amid a persistent real estate market downturn and blocked capital inflows, frontline construction workers are bearing the brunt of the crisis as the earliest victims in this chain of financial distress. On May 15th, laid-off workers from Longmei Mining Group in Qitaihe City, Heilongjiang Province, gathered at the city government building to protest the company's failure to pay minimum living allowances, social security, medical insurance, and housing provident fund for over 3 months.
Longmei
Longmei hasn't paid its employees for 3 months and stopped providing medical insurance. When workers get sick and are hospitalized, the medical insurance won't cover the expenses. Social Security and the Housing Provident Fund have also been neglected. On May 15th, a large state-owned enterprise in Zhuzhou, Hunan, Datang Huaying Electric Power Company Limited, was exposed for long-term wage arrears, sparking protests among workers. Numerous employees gathered outside the company's office area, holding banners and chanting slogans, demanding the release of overdue wages. The company has yet to provide a clear response. Some workers said the company had previously promised that funds were being coordinated, but no concrete action has been seen. Workers at the site reported that the company has failed to pay full wages for several consecutive months, unable to ensure basic living expenses. One employee questioned how the company can keep operations running while delaying wages repeatedly. He said some frontline workers have gone 3 months without pay, facing tremendous financial pressure. The recent wave of wage arrears in the construction industry has also spread to Hong Kong. According to a TikToker, 27 construction sites in Hong Kong have reported wage delays, with news of unpaid wages emerging almost every month. Workers continue to work without getting paid. Multiple protests demanding wages have erupted across Hong Kong, showing no signs of easing, a rare occurrence for the city. This reflects the severe contraction of private construction projects in recent years, combined with the influx of mainland companies into Hong Kong, intensifying cutthroat competition and pushing many construction firms to the brink of financial collapse. As China's economy continues to decline, labor disputes are increasing, and business closures and wage arrears have become common social issues. Frontline workers and ordinary citizens struggle to defend their basic rights, often facing suppression or unfair treatment. On May 14th, the case of a seriously ill elderly man who died while withdrawing money from a bank sparked widespread attention online. Many members expressed their anger, saying,
This is the Zhuzhou branch of the Agricultural Bank of China. My aunt was seriously ill and needed money for her treatment. Her daughter and son-in-law came with her ID to withdraw the money, but the bank refused and insisted that only the account holder could come in person. We filed countless complaints, but it was no use. They still demanded the account holder be present. The elderly woman was brought in, but the bank forced her to be awake, responsive, and perform facial recognition. They made the critically ill woman nod and blink for over 2 hours, but it never worked. She has since passed away.
The incident sparked widespread attention online, with many condemning the bank's inhumane actions. The family has been seeking justice from relevant authorities. Eventually, the Zhuzhou branch of the Agricultural Bank of China paid the family 100,000 yuan as condolence money to cover funeral expenses, but clearly stated the payment was not compensation. Outraged commenters online questioned why the bank would pay the money if it bore no responsibility, suspecting the payment was meant to silence public outcry. Some also said that by denying responsibility, the bank signals it will continue such practices in similar situations. On May 15th, property owners at Longwang Commercial Plaza in Baise, Guangxi, staged a protest. According to insiders, the plaza was originally planned as a high-end mixed-use development, combining commercial and residential spaces. It attracted many buyers who paid in advance. However, construction has been halted for years, leaving the site overgrown with weeds and the project unfinished. The developer has gone silent, and channels for addressing grievances have been blocked. In frustration, several owners climbed to the rooftop of the plaza's high-rise building to display banners asserting their demands, accusing the developer of breaking promises and delaying the construction, and criticizing government departments for staying passive. An owner said they repeatedly demanded answers from the developer and the government, but received no clear response. As legitimate buyers, they now see this protest as their only way to make their voices heard. The site was reportedly sealed off immediately after the incident. On May 16th, at Guangxi Power Grid's Transmission and Transformation Construction Company, 32 construction workers staged a protest over unpaid wages. The workers lit a fire and cooked meals outside the company's gate, signaling their intention to stay until their wages are paid. There have also been reports of rough treatments. Several recent female graduates visited Xiaoyi Network Media to request their overdue wages, but they were thrown out one by staff members. Online commentators condemned the behavior, saying people who owe money have the audacity to act like this. Isn't this just like a mafia? What's the difference? Despite facing such injustice, under the current Chinese Communist Party, ordinary people have nowhere to seek justice, and even free speech is suppressed. On May 15th, the Judicial Bureau of Yangqi Reclamation Area in Xinjiang released a propaganda video titled "Citizens of the People's Republic of China have freedom of speech, association, assembly, publication, and demonstration." The video cites constitutional provisions emphasizing that all power in China belongs to the people. Ironically, comments were not allowed under the video. This move sparked widespread criticism on social media. One user remarked, "Promoting freedom of speech but disabling comments clearly shows what kind of freedom this really is." Another said, "Power belongs to the people only if the people can speak out." Professor Xu Heling from Monash University's Business School in Australia pointed out that China offers no channels for workers to voice concerns. There's no independent judiciary, no labor unions, and NGOs have been expelled. Facing no legal recourse, workers resort to extreme measures to demand wages. Many violent incidents in China relate to the lack of proper avenues to address social injustices. Confronted with harsh realities and difficult lives, an increasing number of mainland Chinese are awakening and reconsidering their situation. They no longer endure out of fear, but choose to rise and resist. On May 15th, after 2 days of intense clashes with police, hundreds of villagers in Hanxiang Village, Haikou, Hainan, successfully paused a cemetery construction project. The project planned to requisition land in Hanxiang Village to build a public cemetery with 20,000 burial plots. Upon announcement, it ignited strong opposition from local residents. They feared the project would severely impact their living environment. No one wanted to open their doors to a vast cemetery. On May 14th, after learning that the government was preparing to start construction, hundreds of villagers gathered to protest at the site. The protest quickly escalated into violent clashes with police and government officials. According to videos and eyewitness accounts, at least 2 villagers were injured. One was detained by police, and a government vehicle was smeared with mud and had lit incense sticks placed on it. The villagers did not back down. A large group dressed in similar clothing arrived playing drums and carrying religious statues, confronting officials and police once again. Video footage shows thick smoke at the scene, suggesting police used tear gas. The standoff continued into May 15th, when an official announced a project suspension at the site. That day, a video attracted attention online. It showed a police officer pulling out a handgun to intimidate protesting citizens. Unexpectedly, the crowd showed no fear and boldly confronted the armed officer. Netizens praised the protesters, commenting, "The police pulling out guns, isn't this treating the people as enemies?" And, "When ordinary citizens face the barrel of tyranny without fear, the authorities are left powerless. Hopefully, more people will bravely stand up." Some users also noted the overwhelming number of wage arrears and protests across the country, suggesting the creation of a national map to track where these sparks of resistance first ignited.
到底要给我们下一代留一个怎么样的社会啊？
What kind of society are we leaving for the next generation? Have you noticed that in the past 20 years, with the rise of internet, anyone who exposes the dark side of various industries or defends ordinary people's rights online never ends well? Journalists who revealed gutter oil was used in food were stabbed to death. Those exposing toxic milk powder served 5 years in prison. News reporters who reported on industrial gelatin in food were forced to resign. Doctors who exposed problems with home-made medicinal liquor suffered from depression, and broadcasters who uncovered fake food ingredients had their videos removed. If problems can't be solved, is the only option to silence those who raise them? Our next generation is already growing up. Do we want to leave such a society for them?
Professor Shi Heling says China's economic downturn and the resulting wave of wage arrears may threaten social security and the CCP's political stability. Facing economic difficulties, many companies resort to all kinds of tricks, including wage arrears, withholding disability benefits and pensions, and reducing medical insurance payments. Over time, this will severely harm overall social stability. Especially as China's macroeconomic conditions and government debt worsen, local public finances are stretched thin. Tax revenues are insufficient to repay debts, let alone pay salaries. According to data released by China's Ministry of Finance on November 29th, local government debt nationwide reached about 45.3 trillion yuan by October. However, Goldman Sachs estimated in August 2023 that China's local government debt reaches as much as 94 trillion yuan. He Shilin points out that public sector wage arrears are increasing in frequency and severity. These sectors are the foundation of the CCP's rule in China. If basic public services like the police, hospitals, and banks face wage arrears, it could trigger widespread social unrest and threaten the CCP's governance.